Hey folks, Sylvia's here, I'm on Leaf. This will probably be a shorter video. Game plan here is to finish up... Anything interesting going on? Nope. Yeah, game plan here is to finish up the Gnarlhounds task. Which should be pretty easy. In fact, I don't even need to, like, resupply, because I'm already resupplied. Last video was relatively short, and it also involved me like getting here and stuff like that, and I did 188 out of the 300 of them. So considering I just need to do 112 of them, this will probably be a pretty short video. That said, I don't know what's happening in the next video after that, and I'm going to actually talk about that now. So I'm now 50, which gives me new task monsters, and it also opens up some questing for me. Off the top of my head, the one I'm excited about is the Secret Service quests. So I don't know if I want to do that right at 70, or right at 50. Exani her down. That might be like a little dangerous to do solo at my level. I mean, yeah, we'll see, I guess. But that's something I'm like excited about. I also want to do the Thieves Guild quests. So that way I can actually do a new frontier. If I wasn't a paladin, I would probably skip the new frontier because I just absolutely hate doing incredibly long access quests, and I'm still a little bit like shell-shocked from Paradox Tower and all that crap, especially the part where I said the wrong thing to Paradox Tower like twice in a row. That was a little soul-crushing. I haven't fully recovered from that, no, and it's been a while, so, do I have haste, Utani, her? Nope. Come to think of it, I also have some access to some new spells now, too, don't I? Ugh. I meant to click the next one so that I could hit it with my strike. Oops. There you go. I'm trying to use some of the mana, because I don't have any basic spears, and, you know, here we are. Dead. So yeah, I'll probably start some questing because I don't know if I want to immediately start tasking. On the other hand, I might immediately want to start tasking. It's hard to say. And then yeah, then we also have like actual new frontier quests to do. Yeah, I'm just completely missing the spot where I'm supposed to go down. It's somewhere over here. There we go. Alright, I have no idea. Okay, because that was a hold down. We want to go over here. Look, I don't normally go into spots in this place. This place is normally I just walk past it. I'm going to the Muggy Plains, and I just walk past all this crap. Alright. I'm apparently still carrying all the gold from last time. Whoops. So yeah. Time will tell, I guess, what the next video is going to be. And hey, there's always a chance that, like, you know, I could lag out or disconnect here, or somebody could kill me, and then I won't get a chance to do any of those things. I'll say this is one of those things I find kind of interesting, by the way. I don't know how, like, well-known I am on Amera, like, as Leaf. But I'm surprised that because occasionally people track me down on Olympa to be like, yo, hey, I watch your videos, like, your videos are awesome and stuff like that. Which I love, by the way. I love it when people do that. But Olympa's non-PvP. And I'm surprised that nobody has, like, watched me do a Leaf video and then was like, I'm going to kill that guy one of these times. Especially since I've gone on record saying, like, the whole premise of Leaf is that everything Leaf does gets recorded. Leaf is always being recorded. So if you do anything to, like, harass or annoy me, it will be on the video. So I'm surprised. We're at, like, Leaf 68 now, and nobody has attempted to assassinate Leaf yet. Not that I'm hoping somebody tries to assassinate Leaf, but I'm just saying. I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet. I mean, I could see, like, nobody knowing I'm my Knight Dao, because, like, I hardly use her to play, and I also hardly use her to make videos anymore. I wonder when the last video was with Dao. Point being, though, Like, I could see people not realizing Dao Dao's a character and not tracking me down on Dao Dao, but like, people know exactly what level Leaf is and what his skills are, and basically know exactly what his equipment is. They know exactly how few supply. Like, look at me. I'm carrying around 2 health pots and 9 manas. Like, anybody attacks me, even somebody that's like half my level, and I'm probably gonna die. It's whatevs. It's whatevs. So anyway, though, I do actually have like 2 topics to talk about, but considering that this will be a shorter video, I might not get to the second one. So the first topic I want to go to is, though, because I find this interesting. So as you guys know, I like quit my job where I was working at a gas station, but before that, I was working at a gas station, and it was a 3rd shift, which meant, like, you know, I was up all night, and, you know, I'd go to bed at like 8 a.m. at the earliest kind of situation, which like sort of sucks. And is one of the things I kind of complained about a lot. My problem is, though, I've always been kind of a night owl type person. Like, I've seen many sunrises in my life. Many sunrises in my life. And I would say that 99% of them were because I just haven't gone to bed yet. I've probably woken up to see a sunrise, like, twice. Like, now, to be fair, though, I don't normally stay up that late. I was usually going to bed at around 3 in the morning. So I'd still wake up before noontime, and I'd still have the day available. Which is why I thought 3rd shift would be, like, acceptable for me, because my thought process was, you know, if I'm normally going to bed at, like, 3 to 5, then staying up until 6 wouldn't be a problem. Well, the thing is, staying up until 6 wasn't a problem. The problem was that staying up, working until 6 isn't the same thing as staying up until 6. So I'd get home and I'd be wide awake, and I'd go to bed at 8 a.m., the absolute earliest. Sometimes I'd go to bed at like 3 p.m. And now that I don't have that job, I'm still stuck in that sleep schedule. I'm still, like, I tried really hard, and for a short period of time I kind of was doing it, but yep, nope. I basically go to bed every day in, like, in the late morning. So I've been, like, struggling pretty intently with that, because I would like to be on, like, normal human being schedule. It would be nice. I would be happy to not be a mutant that stays up all night, you know? So I've been, like, trying to figure out how I can do that, but I'm just, like, I'm not tired. And, it's better because, like, with the way, your, like, sleep cycle goes, the first, like, 5 hours are deep sleep, and then the next, like, 3 hours are cycling between deep sleep and, like, basically, like, REM sleep, which is, rapid eye movement. So it's easier to wake you up while you're in REM and harder to wake you up while you're in deep sleep. And it's also easier for you to go back to sleep while you're in the deep sleep part, and harder to do that when you're in the REM. If you ever, like, woken up at, like, 6 hours of sleep and been, like, wide awake, that was because you were woken up at the REM stage. And if you've ever been woken up, like, 2 hours in and you've been like, and, like, immediately go back to sleep, that's because you were in deep sleep. So my problem is that, like, when I'm trying to... I struggle because when I'm trying to go to sleep at, like, 3, REM stage ends up being, like, starting at 5 hours later, which would be, like, 8 to 9 a.m., which is kind of when, like, everybody else in my house is being incredibly loud. So then they wake me up, and then I can't get back to sleep, and then I'm tired and groggy all day, and then, you know, my, like, schedule's screwed up in that sense. So, I mean, yeah, I've been, like, struggling with that. So I bought, like, over-the-counter sleeping pills, which I'm not exactly comfortable using under normal circumstances. But I figure I've used NyQuil. It's basically, like, the same thing. It's not basically the same thing, by the way. So the first NyQuil I got was, like, the same active ingredient that's in Benadryl, which I take for my allergies every now and then. So I couldn't, like, take those at the same time, and that was kind of a problem. But ultimately, like, I ran out of that one, so I got a new sleeping pill type of pills, which are like some kind of different chemical, and they like put me into a coma. I take those, and it's like I wake up like tired, not groggy, but I wake up like tired, and I'm like, oh, I just want to go back to sleep. And then I look at the clock, and I'm like, oh, I've been sleeping for 12 hours. Okay, that's not good. Um, so I've been trying to like get back onto a normal sleep schedule. The pills aren't really helping. Um, so I'm just like, I'm like, dude, this sucks. So like, I guess yesterday it would have been. Well, it would have been. It would have. Okay, so like to me, the day doesn't change. Like right now, it's Friday. It's 2:54 a.m. But to me, the day doesn't change until I go to sleep. So I'm still in Thursday mentality. So it would have been my my Wednesday. I think I'm a little confused. So it was my Wednesday, and I was like, you know what? Like, I've really got to do something. My attempts at like going to bed a little bit earlier each night aren't working. I'm now like consistently going to bed at like 9, 10 a.m. and sleeping until like, you know, crap times. So I was like, maybe I can rotate forward. Like, if I stay up really, really late, generally speaking, too, like, you should be awake for 16 hours and then sleeping for 8. So I'm like, all right, if I can stay awake for like 20 hours, I'll sleep more than 8 hours also. So if I can stay awake 20 hours and sleep for like 10, and then do that like 3 days in a row, I'll eventually be on like normal human sleep schedule. I know from experience that this doesn't usually work, but it's like my best option, so I figured, oh, what the heck, let's go for it. So I stayed up as late as I could. Like, I did laundry and stuff. So I went to bed. You suck, Mr. Norland. So I went to bed at 4 p.m., okay? I stayed awake until 4 p.m. Which, considering that I woke up the night before at 5 p.m., I stayed up for like 23 hours straight. And I took a sleeping pill because there was a lot of noise. And sometimes when you like get that tired, it's actually like hard to go to sleep. You're like so tired that you can't fall asleep. And I also had a really kicking headache too, so I took some headache medicine from that too. So I fell asleep at 4, and then I woke up at like 12:30, which was like pretty much exactly 8.5 hours of sleep. I did not ultimately end up sleeping like 10 hours, so I was kind of like, oh crap. So I got up, was like tired and groggy. I made an Exile video, right? Yeah, it was an Exile video. Did I make the Exile video? I don't know if I had already made the Exile video, and then I decided to make the, I did one of my political videos, the one on abortion. I don't know if I made the Exile video and then also made the abortion video, or I just made the Exile video and made the abortion video later. I don't exactly remember, but I know I made at least one video. And somewhere around like 3 a.m., I've been awake for maybe about 2.5 hours. I was like, oh man, I'm like super tired. I'm gonna see if I can't like go back to sleep. So like I was laying in bed and I was like, I'm gonna go take like another one of those sleeping pills. So I took another one of those sleeping pills, okay? So I fall asleep at 3. And then I wake up at, I woke up at 9 a.m. Hold on, before I get to this, killing the name of Norlands. 2:44. Alright, we got 56 to go. So I wake up at 9 a.m. Not because I woke up naturally, or because the sleeping pill wore off, but because my grandmother didn't tell me that she was having guys come to cut down the tree in the backyard at 9 a.m. So just all of a sudden, there's like a cherry picker truck like backing up into my yard, and another truck carrying like a wood chipper backing up into my yard. And then while I'm trying to like go back to sleep, because I thought they were like there's a township building behind my house, and my neighbor was doing construction. I thought they were him. So while I'm trying to like go back to sleep and just like ignore the beeping sounds and like the people yelling, then they kick up the wood chipper and the chainsaws and start chopping down a tree that's like 20 feet away from my window. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to sleep now. So like, So, like, yeah, that happened. Uh, they were at that for about an hour and a half until around 10:30. And then at 10:30, they left. I'm like, maybe I can go back to sleep because I'm super tired and groggy. So I went back to sleep and fell asleep at 10:30, and then woke up at 5 p.m. So I basically on like Wednesday, I went to sleep at 4 p.m. Woke up, was awake for 2.5 hours, went back to sleep, woke up and was awake for an hour and a half, and then went back to sleep, and then woke up again. So in a 25-hour block, I was awake for like 3.5 to 4 hours. It was kind of crazy. I was like in a coma. It was like, and I was like, I'm still tired and groggy too. Like, I'm probably going to go to sleep after this at 3 a.m. So I'm like, I'm spending more than like 50% of 2 days in a row asleep. It's kind of strange. That doesn't normally happen. I've never slept quite that much in a short period of time without being like really ill or something. Like I've had, the flu, and that's been kind of but that's different. Yeah, so that was strange. And then I'm annoyed because my grandmother didn't tell me she's getting this tree cut down like then. But she's been talking about getting the tree cut down and how she like needs to call the guys and stuff like that. So like she's alerted me to the fact that the tree is coming down. She just didn't alert me to the fact that the tree was coming down at 9 a.m. on Thursday morning. And then like she's like, I have to get this tree cut down. I have to get this tree cut down. So like money's tight, especially since like when my aunt moved in, she's raised all of the bills and stuff. Like our electric bill went up like an extra $100 a month and crap like that. So like my grandmother is kind of tight on money. And she's like, oh my god, I gotta pay to get this like tree cut down. I'm like, oh, why? She's like, oh well, like the neighbor is building a new house. I'm like, yeah. So why does our tree have to come down though? Like I'm not really understanding the situation. She's like, well, what if the tree falls down and like lands on his new house? I'm like, well, why would that happen? Because like he had his old house and it was right where his new house is. Like what would make you think that the tree is just gonna randomly fall? And she's like, well, the tree's in not good health. It got struck by lightning. I'm like, oh wait, when? She's like, oh yeah, you can like see the like lightning strike on it. So like I go outside and yeah, you can see like the lightning strike on the tree. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wait, hasn't this been here for a while? I'm like, when did this get struck by lightning? And she's like 30 years ago. I'm like, okay, so if the tree got struck by lightning and is dying because of the lightning strike, it would have fallen by now. I mean, I don't think the tree needs to be chopped down. The tree seems pretty healthy. Like, it's growing, it's like, it's not falling apart. It's got blooming leaves and whatnot. Like, right now, it's filled with green leaves. Well, I mean, it's not anymore because they chopped it down yesterday. But, like, the tree was, like, perfectly healthy. I'm just like, I don't understand. Why did we cut down this tree? And then I realized that my grandmother's crazy. My grandmother, like, plans for these eventualities that are so unlikely that they just don't make sense. And I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, like 2 plus 2 is 4, 3 plus 3 is 6, 4 plus 4 is 8. And that's like the baseline that I just take for granted that everybody understands that. But to her, those numbers aren't the same. So like her 2 plus 2 equals triangle, 3 plus 3 equals banana, and 4 plus 4 equals cat. And like, so her like entire logical premise is just different from mine. Like, for example, one of the things she does that's like weird is inside of our refrigerator, we have 4 containers of Kraft Parmesan cheese. 3 of them are like normal sized ones, and 1 of them is like an extra large one. And there's just 4 of them inside of our refrigerator. Let me check my numbers real quick before I continue here. Killing in the name of neurons. 25. All right. Let's go back in. So, like, my thought process is, like, buy based off of how much you use, you know? Like, I don't know what the shelf life of Kraft Parmesan cheese is after it's been opened. But, like, if we're not going to... And now, alright, to be fair, my family eats an enormous amount of pasta. So, like, most likely we're going to definitely eat them before they expire. That's not a legitimate concern in my family. So, okay, like... To me, I would buy whichever one's the better deal. So I would buy, like, the larger container. I wouldn't buy the absolute, like, gargantuan warehouse container that, you know, contains, like, 15 pounds of shredded cheese. But I would buy, like, the bigger one, which is the one we have one of. But what my grandmother does is she buys that one, because that one is the better deal. And then she takes some of it out and fills the smaller containers. And she does that to all three of the smaller containers. And the reason why she does this, and she doesn't fill them to the top either, she fills them each about a third of the way filled. Which doesn't take up the whole big container either, which is why we still have the big container in there. So the big container shoved into the back of the refrigerator so that nobody can find it. And then the three smaller containers are each filled about a third of the way filled, and are like random locations inside of the refrigerator. And we do it that way because she thinks that, like, a person who goes to put Parmesan cheese on their, like, pasta will pick up the container and go, wow, this container's, like, filled to the brim. I might as well just put half the container onto my pasta. Inversely, she believes that if a person picks up the container and goes, oh, this container's only filled with 1/3, I better, like, use it sparingly. Now, the second half of that might be true for a person who doesn't know that there's 3 other containers inside of the refrigerator. Like, a stranger comes in and is, like, you know, having dinner, and you hand them the thing, and they're like, oh, there's not a lot in here, I don't want to use it all, because that would be rude, so I'll only use a little bit. Like, that makes sense, although, on the other hand, you don't want to trick guests into thinking that we have, like, you know, like, you just don't want to, like, do that to a guest, for starters. And also, we don't have guests. Like, nobody comes into our house that's a stranger and eats. So, like, moot point, I suppose, in the first place. But everybody else in the house just knows that there's 3 containers, so we still use the same amount of Parmesan cheese on our pasta that we would want normally. And then we're constantly, like, running out because these containers have so little amount in them that they need to be refilled, like, every 4 days. And because all of the containers are in different spots in the refrigerator, like, one of them will get used repeatedly while the other 2 will get pushed behind, like, milk cartons and, like, eggs or something. So, like, it's this whole process that just doesn't make any sense to me. But that's her, like, baseline thought process, which is, like, I need to conserve the Parmesan cheese. We're going to buy the large one because we want to get the better deal, but I need to conserve it. So every, like, 4 or 5 days, she's sitting there with, like, measuring cups, measuring Parmesan cheese and putting it into other containers. And then she's complaining about how she can't get anything done in the house, and I'm like, well, if you didn't spend 30 minutes measuring Parmesan cheese, you would have a whole lot more time to get things done. Ugh. How many more do I got? 10 more to go. I'm actually going to have to go back into this cave because 10 more of them is going to... man, this sucks, actually. 10 more is little enough that going through the cave is a waste, but I'm probably not going to be able to find 10 more on the surface, although now we're down to 7 more, so it might not be too bad. So, like, yeah, just her baseline thought process just, to me, makes absolutely no sense. Like, I can't imagine anybody thinking like that. It blows my mind. And we argue a lot about it because I'm like, because she's, it's hard to explain, and I'm running out of time on this video too, and I don't want to go into the whole thing, but she's always complaining about how, like, you have to understand, like, so she's old, and she complains that she can't, like, take care of the house the way she wants to take care of it, like, that she used to. But what I've come to realize is that she's not actually, like, so much upset that she can't take care of the house. It's that she's concerned other people are, like, gossiping about her and being like, oh, that granny, her house is a dump. she's really letting herself go. And that's like her primary concern, is that other people are like thinking lowly of her. So when she's constantly like, oh, I can't take care of my house, I can't take care of my house. Oh, termite cave. That's not what I want. So yeah, when she's like, oh, I can't take care of my house, I can't take care of my house, it's not because she's like actually concerned that she's not able to take care of her house. She's saying it because she wants other people to know that like she would be taking care of her house if she could. And she can't because she's old and she doesn't have all this time. So that's why she's always saying it to other people. But I'm like, I mean, I understand that you're old, and I think most people also understand that you're old, and that makes like a, you know, a different situation. But like, if you prioritized your time a little bit better, I think you could kind of get things done. Like, I don't mean to be rude, but you know, spending 30 minutes every like couple of days mixing Parmesan cheeses is a huge waste of your time, because it's just stupid in the first place, and in the second place, it has no benefit whatsoever. Like, why? Why? She does other things, like, she's like, oh, I have to mop the bathroom floor every, like, 5 days, too. I'm like, alright. You're the only person that uses the downstairs bathroom. You're not peeing on the floor. Like, the downstairs bathroom can go without getting mopped every 5 days, and you could focus on some of the, like, clutter. I don't know. And the worst part is, it's impossible to help her. Because, like, she wants everything put in, like, a specific spot, and she needs to know where that spot is, too. So if you try to help her, she just gets upset, and then flips out, and then it's just downhill. So, like, while I'm getting these last two Gnarlhound kills, so she always complains about this on the phone to whoever will listen, because, again, she wants everybody to know that it's not her fault. So she talks to my one aunt who lives in California all the time, like every day, because she calls her every day and is like, how are you doing, Mom? So she complains. She's like, oh, I can't get anything done. I can't get anything done. So this aunt is like, oh my God, like, things must be really terrible. Let me call my sisters and get them doing something. So she calls up, like, my mom and another one of my aunts, the ones that are, like, capable of doing things, and is like, you really have to help Granny get her house together because she's really upset about it. You got to do something. So they're like, okay, we'll go and, like, help clean her house. So for, like, 2 months, every week, my mom and this other aunt would come down to the house to help my grandmother, like, straighten it out. And they'd stay for about 3 hours, and every week it would be this just horrible, everybody's upset, stressed out, everybody's, like, hyperventilating. It's just a terrible experience for everybody involved. And they finally stopped doing it when one day my mom just broke down crying and couldn't handle the situation anymore. And they were just like, we have to leave and never do this again. And that's what happens when you, like, you try to be like, let's go through this stuff, and she doesn't want to throw out anything. And she's like, I don't want to throw those out. I'm like, okay, well, those are roller skates. They're not even roller blades. They're roller skates. Nobody roller skates anymore. Nobody really rollerblades anymore, but more people, I think, rollerblade than roller skate. Nobody in our family roller skates, that's for sure. Let me double check and make sure that that was 300 before I head back. Good, 300. So, I mean, like, they served no purpose. Also, they were, like, 50 years old, the leather on them was rotten, and the wheels were so rusted that the, like, wheel frames, like, fell off of the axles and were just being held on, like, loosely. So, you couldn't, like, they were completely unfunctional. And if you put them on, you were probably going to get, like, tetanus. And she's like, well, somebody might want those. I could give them to, like, a charity. Like, nobody wants these. Exani her up. So it's just like this, it's just this terrible, stressful process. So, I mean, like, you know, nobody can help her. She doesn't actually want help. But, yeah. So, I kind of got off on a tangent there. I did not talk about my second topic, and we're not going to, because we obviously don't have the time for that. Assuming I don't forget about it by next week, I'll talk about it next week, or next time I make one of these videos, I should say. Although we aren't done exactly yet, we are going to head to Port Hope and turn it in. Oh man. What am I going to pick up as my next task monsters? Alright, let's think about this while I'm walking back. Ancient Scarabs are probably a pretty good choice. I'm pretty sure using firewalls I can take Ancient Scarabs. Tormea. I'm not sure though, because like okay, I could take Ancient Scarabs no problem on Sylvius, for the most part, but I was able to use firewalls, and this is a PvP server, so to use firewalls, I'm going to have to run through the fire and take damage. So I'm not sure if that's going to make enough of a difference that it'll make it too dangerous. But Ancient Scarabs are probably a good option. I'm not going to use E-walls on Crystal Spiders, so I probably want to pick up a couple of levels before I do Crystal Spiders, because I want to be a little bit faster, and fast enough that I can outrun them, and also I want to be able to kill them fast enough. So they're not constantly getting up on me. Edron, yes. Will you take me to Port Hope, friend? Port Hope. Yes. So I'm thinking no for Crystal Spiders initially, which also means no for Ice Golems. And then the monsters that also give bosses are Mutated Rats and Bone Beasts. Now, Mutated Rats kind of suck for Paladins because there's only like 2 spots that you can hunt Mutated Rats, and those are in the Alchemist Quarter, and that's not a really great spot because they're all in tiny rooms, and they're all in like groups of 2 or 3. You can't run them at all. And the other spot is underneath the Arena Quarter, mixed with a couple of other things, and that's like a little bit dangerous. Still isn't all that great of a spot, and is also usually taken, has been my experience. We might try it at one point, but not right away, because that, like I said, that one sucks. So that leaves me with Bone Beasts. Bone Beasts are best either in Helheim, which is where I tasked them the first time around, on Sylvius, or Ramoa, which is where I did it with Dao Dao. But Ramoa requires an access quest. This is rough. Alright. Task? Alright, what would you like to hunt? Alright, so we can't do Ice Golems because they go with Crystal Spiders. So Ice Golems are out of the question. Core Scouts are perfectly fine, but they don't give a boss, and we want to do boss ones first. Mutated Rats, I just talked about. Ancient Scarabs, we're probably going to take. Ancient Scarabs. They can be found in tomes beneath the desert around Anchorman. Hunt 250 of them. Yes, task. I like that it's 250 of them, too. Alright. Wyverns don't really have a good spot. They also don't have a boss. Lancer Beetles are nightmares for Paladins because they drain distance. Although Lancer Beetles are good for any other vocation because they come in large groups with Wailing Widows, so you can do the 2 of them at a time. But both of them also don't have bosses, and like I said, the Lancer Beetles are nightmares for Paladins, so those are basically out of the question right there. Wailing Widows are also out of the question because they only come in places with Lancer Beetles. Killer Camions don't have a boss and are incredibly fast and hit pretty hard in melee, so they're not something I want to do right now. Crystal Spiders I can't do. Mutated Tigers don't have a boss, although Mutated Tigers are good for Paladins later on. They can be done, I think, with the Mutated Rats, and also you can just task them with the Bone Beasts in the back of the Alchemist Quarter. So I'm looking at doing Bone Beasts. Bone Beasts. Yes. And we're going to pick up the Mutated Rats, I guess. Mutated Rats. Oh, what did he say when I said Bone Beast, actually? Bone Beasts can be found all over Tibia. I want you to kill 300 of them. Okay. Recently I heard a disturbing development in Yalhar. Plague of monsters, mutated rats. If they were to spread to the rest of Tibia, it shudders. My task for you is to contain their numbers in Yalhar. Hunt 400. Wow, 400 of them? Yeah, that's an annoyingly large number. Alright. So we're going to go, well, I'll just dump off the stuff at the beginning of next video since I'm already kind of close to the trainers. But yeah, I guess the plans for next video are... I'll decide right now, because I'm not sure, but it's either go test out the tasking on the Ancient Scarabs, or do the access quest for Bone Beasts, test out the task... Ooh, you know what? I'm going to make it into a poll. Alright, I'm going to make it into a poll. Right now, a poll is going to go up. It's asking whether or not I should task Ancient Scarabs, task Mutated Rats, do the Shattered Isles quest so that I can get access to Ramoa. I suppose I could go Helheim too. So, do the Ice Isles quest so that I can access to Helheim and Niblor. What was that? 4 options? Ancient Scarabs, Mutated Rats, Access Quest, or just do other quests that I needed to get done. So the other quests would be Secret Service, or the other option is Thieves Guild. So we've got, one more time. Ancient Scarabs, Mutated Rats, Shattered Isles, Ice Islands, Thieves Guild, or Secret Service. Those are your 6 options. Let me know which one. And whatever one gets the most votes is the one I'll do. Alright, folks. On that note, though, like, favorite, comment, subscribe. Check me out on Patreon, Twitter, Facebook. I'll see you folks later.